Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. My m36 wife f37 wanted to separate, and now that I'm seeing someone m34 wants me back. Advice. My wife and I were struggling in our marriage for a good year before she asked to separate around 8 months ago. I was apprehensive and didn't want to separate, but after a lot of talking I agreed to it. We worked out the basics, including that it'd be a full living separate situation, moved out 6 months ago, and how we'd break the news to our boys m14, m16, just all that stuff. Within the first month of living separately I started to realize just how unhappy I was too. My wife said she was unhappy when she asked for the separation. Around a month and a half to 2 months into living separately, she informed me she was going out with a co-worker. She said it as I'm being polite and telling you, but you don't get a say. It hurt a lot, as not once did we discuss seeing other people. She insisted in asking for a separation that it was not remotely about that. During the period after it, one of my closest friends was a great support to me, and one night it turned sexual with him. My bisexuality has never been a secret, I've always been open about it, including to my wife. We continued on for a little while just fooling around, then we got a bit romantic and decided to go out on a date. So I told my wife that I was going to be going on a date with him, and she wasn't thrilled but didn't say anything about it. Over time he and I started dating her, and her co-worker fell apart. My time with him has been amazing. I know it hasn't been a lot of time and it's still the honeymoon stage, but things just work with him. It's easy and we fit in a way that I doubt me and her ever have. Seeing just how happy I've been with him, I've been contemplating asking for a divorce. Recently my wife came over to talk about things and asked me to stop seeing him. She wants us to work toward fixing our marriage and even asked me to move back in. I told her I needed time to think, and she definitely didn't like that response, so I started talking about our boys and how I need to think about them. Basically it just seemed like a guilt trip, but I also worry that perhaps I'm being selfish not hearing her out more. I don't know. I do still have love for her, but I can't honestly say I'm in love with her at this moment. Whereas with him I can say I'm in love with him. Advice or words of wisdom, please. Sounds like she ducked around and found out. Not sure what the question is exactly. She ditched you and you're more into the new guy. Obviously you keep moving forward with him instead of her. Also I guarantee something happened with her co-worker before she even brought up the separation. If not full-on sex, at least some flirting and stuff. She broke up to pursue someone who in one way or another made it clear she could pursue them. Yup. She wanted to date her co-worker and see if it could be something serious. She found out it couldn't and now wants you back. Just be honest with yourself, you're happier with him. Just proceed with the divorce and be a good co-parent. Being happy is the best role model you can provide for your kids in the long run. Yes, and whether or not things work out with Op's current relationship, I'd put money on his wife getting bored and restless and leaving again not long after they reconciled. Op doesn't need to factor in the current guy. That's a separate matter. He needs to think about whether he'd want his wife back, because he mentions realizing how unhappy it was after they actually split. She sounds flaky to me. Started talking about our boys and how I need to think about them. Was she thinking of the boys when she asked to separate and started to date her co-worker? Also I guarantee something happened with her co-worker before she even brought up the separation. I agree. I think that something was substantial enough for her to consider breaking up her family and asking for a separation from a long-term relationship with you. Now that the grass is all wilted and dried out on the other side, she's back here giving you the guilt trip, but what about the kids? And yeah, please think about the boys. You are their role model. What would they learn when they see that you've been treated poorly in the relationship and you are still okay with all that poor treatment just to stay in a relationship with your wife? That may make them think that it's okay to be in a bad relationship. They may possibly not like the fact that because of them, you chose to stay in a bad relationship with your wife. Ducked around and found out is exactly what she did. The grass isn't greener. Exactly, the co-worker goes into her undies and now that he has her he wants nothing more than friendship. This is now uncommon, predator co-workers looking for the married person that isn't getting much attention and is having issues at home. They live to say the right things, and soon to develop a crush. Once the WP develops that crush, it's all over. More than likely she had friends encouraging her or separating from you and to screw her co-worker. She was most likely screwing Hun before your two separated. Yup. So what you're saying is your wife asked to separate, started going out with her co-worker, probably had a thin way before separating with you, and after you do the same and find someone you're interested in. Her co-worker and her fall out and end their relationship, and now she wants you back and wants to work on it. I would say no and move on. When will be the next time she finds a guy she wants to have a fling with? Don't enable her to make bad decisions. She got what she wanted. She asked for it. Not to mention, she told you that she was being polite and you didn't have a say in the decision to see other people. Leave her. I don't say that often, but I honestly don't see how this would work for you. You said you were unhappy and realized it after you found your own freedom again. Do you want to be unhappy with a wife that already left you once? Not to mention that she is trying to gaslight and guilt trip you back into a relationship for the kids. Did she ever mention this when she asked for separation? What about when she had her fling with her co-worker? She's using you, and once you realize it, it'll be easier. Stay with him. See, that's the thing that annoys me. She didn't worry about our boys when we separated or when she started seeing her co-worker. She never asked them or told them first. I told them about it and asked if they'd be okay with it when I started seeing my boyfriend. Did her self-centered way of handling relationships have something to do with your unhappiness in your former marriage? It was a variety of things. The lack of affection and uneven household workload along with nitpicking all played roles in my unhappiness. Dude, just read what you wrote. Your kids will be way better off not watching that dynamic every day. Millions of kids have separated parents. If you treat them with love and kindness and not as pawns, they'll be fine. You don't want to teach them that the way you were treated is okay in a relationship. Put it this way, if you had a good friend come to you with the same situation, how would you advise them? Honestly, it doesn't sound like you were getting anything out of the relationship with her. No affection? Yeah, I'd tell her thanks, but no thanks. She hurt you and the kids by insisting on separation. That's irreparable harm that wouldn't be mended even through moving back in together. You and your kids have adjusted well, especially you, to the new situation your wife created. Your kids are not little. They are not breastfeeding. They can be away from their mom half the time. Going back with your life won't undo the harm she has done to you and the kids, especially you. By harm to kids, I don't mean she caused major trauma. She just punctured their sense of stability about their family. They can be away from their mom half the time. If I broke it into a percentage, I'd say they are here with me about 80% of the time by their choice. Was she thinking about our boys when she decided that she wanted to separate from you and go date her co-worker? Methinks no. Methinks she's a bit of a hypocrite and she's seeing you happy, and because the thing with her co-worker, that she totally wasn't crushing on months before you separated, fell apart, she's jealous. Hey, you chose this, and I've decided to move on. I'm happy. I am happy to co-parent with you so that our boys are the happiest they can be. I don't see myself being happy in a relationship any longer. And I think it is important to show our boys that they don't need to stay in an unhappy relationship. Hopefully you can figure out this co-parenting business soon, so we can all move on. Thank you for understanding. Or something like that. Basically thanks, but no thanks. That's the thing that annoyed me the most, was acting like I don't think of my son. I was the one to check with them about dating my friend to make sure they'd be okay with it, and made sure they'd be okay with him being over for the night when they are, yet she didn't even tell them when her co-worker was gonna stay over. Have you been open with your boys about your sexuality? That is the only reason I could think of her trying to pull the concern card. Enjoy this liminal space right now, you have a chance to explore and be yourself. If she truly loves you and doesn't just want you back out of habit, then she should be able to come to this conclusion after the shock she seemed to receive by you not dropping your own life the second she asked. Yes, my sons know about my sexuality, I've been open about it most of their lives. Before I started dating my boyfriend, I made sure to talk to them and see how they'd feel about me dating him. I'm sure it's difficult raising teenage boys, but you seem to have a good relationship with them. You're not being selfish at all. I hope for everyone's sake she accepts your boundaries. Having to pick up and move is a big deal. It's a lot of work and effort to move and set yourself up again, adjust. You owe it to yourself to take this opportunity and figure things out. It sounds as though you have put in the work. Update on my m36 wife f37 wanted to separate, and now that I'm seeing someone m34 wants me back. Advice. Link to first post. It's removed cause of cap but has the original text saved. After my last post I really started thinking about asking myself what I want and decided to move forward with a divorce. I can't go back to a marriage filled with zero affection, constant nitpicking, and a completely uneven level of household duties. Even if I wasn't in love and wanting to move forward with my boyfriend, I still wouldn't want to reconcile. Especially after the messages my 16-year-old showed me from her. She expected him to encourage me to dump my boyfriend and move back in. Mind you, I haven't told her I want a divorce. That was just in response to telling her I wanted time to think. I'm both shocked and horrified she'd stoop to pressuring our boys like that. Needless to say, after talking with my oldest and seeing those messages, I met with a divorce lawyer. We have a prenup that covers most of our finances, so that should be straightforward. The custody of our boys will be the biggest thing. Though they are old enough that their say will be taken into consideration, and my oldest has already asked if he could live with me. I haven't told him about the divorce yet. He asked after her messages. Not that it's a big change or surprise, as both boys spend most of their time with me already, as I've been the primary caregiver for them most of their life. My lawyer has advised me not to tell her about the divorce and let her be served this week. I am torn on that. I'm sure he knows best, but it also doesn't feel completely right to blindside her. Thank you for all the advice on the first post. Edit to clarify. It's not just telling her about the divorce. He's suggested I keep contact to a minimum and only concerning our boys, preferable over text only in general. Which I'm going to trust him on. Listen to your lawyer, man. Don't do anything silly at this point in the game. Life is not fair. Your wife surely wasn't fair to you. Seriously? A good divorce lawyer is worth their weight in gold. And will charge you like it. Anyway. Please keep your yap shut and let the lawyer, who you are paying, do their job. Yeah, don't do anything silly like post very identifiable details of your situation on an internet forum with thousands of readers. Listen to your lawyer. There is a reason your lawyer is giving you that advice. I'm a divorce lawyer and it infuriates me when clients sabotage their own cases by not listening to my advice. Any insight on why the lawyer would advise minimal contact? The more contact, the more chances for her to manipulate him or the situation. That's my guess, at least, now. Not a lawyer, but she could also disappear temporarily to delay getting the paper and drag out the divorce. Just bear in mind that your lawyer has been around the block countless times with issues like yours. Listen to everything he says and follow it like it's the word of God. You're paying him to tell you what best to do. Don't throw your money away by playing your own game. As far as your relationship with your ex, she played you and now she's trying to control the situation again in her favor. Don't play into it. You are doing the right thing in my opinion. Thank you, and I am going to stick to what he says even if I feel a little guilty doing so. I know I shouldn't feel that way. It's natural to feel guilt. You've shared everything with this woman for a good chunk of time. Keeping things from her feels like lying by omission. However, the professional advice you've gotten is to not communicate with her unless it's about the boys and in writing. Follow that advice because it really is in your best interest. She asked for a separation. She had an inkling that this might lead to divorce. She's not being blindsided. When she gets served, she's going to try to reach out. Don't respond to anything other than to say contact my attorney. Best of luck, Op. You deserve to be happy. Of course you do. Even though you're much happier now, you shared a life together for nearly 20 years. Sincere, you were at least in late teens. That's a long time and during a huge growth period of change. There will be emotional ties still there for completely ending it. I'm assuming you did the bulk of child rearing and household chores by the way you worded it. You were done. Now you've found someone else, someone whom you have a solid basis in friendship. Whatever happens with that relationship, I wish you all the best. I hope she, too, will get counseling and regroup herself. 17 years, so yes, nearly 20, and also yes, I did the bulk of child rearing and household chores. We both work, so it was supposed to be shared, but within the first couple years it shifted to me doing most of it, and in the last few years basically all of it. For example, for at least the past 6 years, if I didn't get up to make breakfast and pack lunches for everyone, it would be they can fix cereal and give them cash to buy it morning. When we separated, my workload actually decreased as I didn't have to cook for an extra person or get one up. It was a big eye-opener. That's one of the things about my boyfriend, is he stepped in without a discussion or anything, and just started sharing the load. Even after I told him he didn't have to, he still does because he wants to, which were his words. Oh gosh, that's a dream partner. One who just does stuff and keeps the ship sailing. It's you without standing back doing it half-assed or not at all. I mean, more and more it becomes clear divorce is the best way ahead, and your wife asking to separate was the best thing, and she's now dealing with backfire, but even she will know it was the best thing. It's funny because what you're saying is what the majority of women have expressed when it comes to marriage and raising kids and their husbands doing zip. It's BS and unacceptable when a partner leaves the household stuff to the other. You both were so young, like what, 19, and then several months later a baby on the way. You've never been able to cut loose much since you had heavy responsibilities so young. Oh, plus side, your kids are getting closer to adulthood. I know that you're a good dad because your son was comfortable enough with you to show you those messages. I hope you and your boyfriend enjoy many happy days. She blindsided you with a separation which in hindsight was obviously used to get with her co-worker. When she found out the grass wasn't greener and saw you also dating someone who fulfilled you, she panicked and is trying to save face. She needs to face the consequences of her actions. Do not warn her. You pay the lawyer because he or she knows best. Listen to the lawyer. What a great dad you are. Follow your lawyer's advice and divorce her. She sounds toxic as duck. Congratulations on your new relationship, heart. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.